My name is John. If I haven't met you yet, welcome to Mission. 2 weeks from today, we're going to start a brand new series called Jesus Is. We're going to go on a 6-week journey to the cross, and we're going to walk through the whole Gospel of Mark. I'd love for you guys to be here as we dive into the text starting in a couple weeks. But as for today, welcome to week 3 of Breathing Room. And here's what I think you'd agree with. No one likes to lose. Have you noticed this? Do any of you fly the L? No, there's no such thing as flying the L, right? You've probably never been to anyone's house where like, hey man, come this way, or to their apartment. I want to take you over here and show you my trophy case of all of my last place ribbons and last place trophies. Has anyone ever done that? No one keeps last place ribbons or last place trophies. No one likes to lose. No one flies the L. Instead, we like to win, right? We like to win. Some more than others, so don't elbow anyone right now. Some of us are a little more competitive than others, but don't we like to win? I mean, don't all of us have an appetite for winning? And a few days ago, I did a little research on some who have won on the largest of stages, and you'll remember some of these athletes. This first picture is of Ben Johnson. In the 1988 Olympics, he set the world record for the 100 meters, which was amazing. To make it even more amazing, he's from Canada. And since when are Canadians fast, right? Like never, all right? They're usually hockey players. I mean, it was amazing. He set the world record for it. The second picture is of Marion Jones. If you remember, she had 3 gold medals in the 2000 Olympics. The third picture is of Lance Armstrong. You guys remember Lance? He won like 800 Tour de France's. I think it was 7 in a row to be exact. Amazing how he won. This last picture is of someone I actually wasn't familiar with. This is Rosie Ruiz. She won the 1980 Boston Marathon. And so all 4 of these athletes, they have 2 things in common. Number 1, they all won. Number 2, they all cheated in order to win. The first 3 athletes, those Olympians, they all took performance-enhancing drugs. Right? That's how they cheated, and that's why they won. They took those PEDs. This last person that won the 1980 Boston Marathon, I didn't know this story, but as she crossed the finish line, this is amazing. As she crossed the finish line in Boston, the race officials looked at her and they crowned her with the winning medal, but they were a little suspect for 2 reasons. Number 1, she wasn't really sweating. True story. Number 2, her legs didn't look as defined as the other elite athletes. And for those 2 reasons, they went into an investigation. And here's what they found out. She actually did not run the whole race. In fact, she jumped on a subway. And missed most of the race, snuck onto the course, and then finished like the last few miles acting as if she won. Isn't this amazing? And some of you are like, yeah, and it's smart. Like that's how you run a marathon, right? You take a subway for half of it and then you fake it until you make it. But she got stripped of that medal. So they all won, but they all cheated in order to win. And what I'm about to say now, you've probably never heard a pastor say, and this is going to surprise you, but here's what I'm hoping for today. I'm actually hoping 6 months from now or 2 years from now, you will look back and you will say, I have won because I made the choice to cheat. All right, now if you're visiting with us, which a number of you are, don't leave yet, all right? You're like, what kind of church is this? I'm not gonna ask you to do anything illegal. I'm not gonna ask you to do anything that's unethical, all right? I'm not gonna ask you to break any rules. Besides your morning coffee intake, I won't recommend any performance-enhancing drugs, all right? Besides that one, all right? But here's what I think. I think all of us have to arrive at the same conclusion, that in order to win, we will have to choose to cheat. And I'm not talking about cheating in order to win a race. I'm talking about cheating in order to win at relationships. Much more important than winning a race. To win in our relationships. I give credit and perspective of much of this idea to Pastor Andy Stanley. He's spoken in amazing ways, written a lot of amazing books. I have a pastor crush on him. I have a poster of him in my room. Not really, but I'm really grateful for his ministry. And he wrote a book a little while ago that talked about this idea that in order to win relationally, you got to make the choice to cheat. And I read that, I'm like, I think he's lost his mind. Like, what's he really talking about? What does he mean by cheating? And some of you are wondering the same thing. And here's how he defines cheating. Cheating is choosing to give up one thing in hope of gaining something else of greater value. Let me read that again. Cheating is choosing to give up one thing in hope of gaining something else of greater value. If you're following along on our church app in the notes section, there's actually a link where you can purchase this book. It's such a great book, When Work and Family Collide. And so what Andy is getting at is what I'm trying to get at, which is prioritization. Cheating is saying two things cannot rule the day. No, one, we will have to intentionally lower the priority of one thing in order that a more important thing can actually win the day. Here's the one thing I want you to know. The one thing when you're getting in the car and you're driving home, the one thing when you're sitting in the sun today, the one thing when you're taking the brats off the grill, here's the one thing today that I hope you will remember. It's this. In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally. In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally. I want you to say it with me on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally. And here's why. We have limited time, yet unlimited demands. Can I get a witness? Am I the only one that experiences this, right? We have limited time. And I'm trying to find more hours in a day. I've been unsuccessful so far, right? We have limited time, yet unlimited demands. This is why you sleep less and work more. This is why I'm a caffeine addict, and I'm probably not the only one here. It's really interesting, in fact, to prove my point that we have limited time yet unlimited demands. This is really kind of funny and interesting. Last year, Americans drank 32 million gallons of Red Bull. Right? Some of you are like, that can't be healthy. No, I don't think it's healthy. All right? 32 million gallons of Red Bull. And so I reached out to my pastor of connections and operations, Mark Whittick. He's the smartest guy I know. And I said, hey, will you crunch some numbers for me? Because numbers have never worked for me. I said, I want to get a visual for how much fuel for energy that really is. And here's what he came up with. That is the equivalent of 3,500 fuel tankers full of Red Bull. Or 48 and a half Olympic-sized swimming pools full of Red Bull. But hey, it gives you wings, right? So what the heck? And some of you are like, no, I'm not really into Red Bull, but you're into coffee. Come on, don't leave me up here. How many of you're like, oh, that's me too, all right? You've already had your Venti Plus, all right? So we're into coffee, and this is just really interesting about coffee. This actually is from a couple years ago, so it's probably even more today. Americans consume, get this, 400 million cups of coffee per day. Per day. Yep. And that is the equivalent to 146 billion cups of coffee per year. Why is this? Why is this? It's because we have limited time, yet unlimited demands. And because of this, we experience a great tension between our work and our relationships, don't we? I mean, if work is over here and relationships are over there, how many of us feel like we're just getting stretched and stretched and stretched? We feel this tension. We have limited time, yet unlimited demands. This creates this thing between our work and our relationships. And as Dan defined broadly work, this is what we're saying. You could be a business owner or a banker. You could be a groundskeeper or a grandparent. You could be a mechanic or a mom. It's what you do. It's what you do. If you're a kid growing up in the house, it's a student or it's just being a good family member that doesn't drive your parents crazy, all right? So this is what we do. Right? It's our work, and we feel this tension between our work and our relationships. And here's what makes it worse. As for me, what I do for work, I actually work more than one day a week. I know I have to keep reminding you guys of this. It's an amazing thing. I actually don't only work on Sunday. I actually work a lot. But I love my work. I'm so grateful for my work. I'm a pastor. I lead this church. I love what I do. This makes it more complicated. I wake up in the morning. I actually can't wait to get into the office. I can't wait to see my coworkers. I love these guys that I get to work with. If you've been to our office, it's amazing. I have a great environment. It even smells good, right? We got plugins. It even looks good. Laura designed it, right? We haven't messed it up too bad yet. I mean, it's an amazing work environment. We laugh a ton, and we get a lot accomplished. I love work, partly because of the mission of my work, which is to help you find and follow Jesus. I mean, that moves me. That drives me. I want to see some of you make a choice to surrender your life to Jesus, even today. I want to see some of you make a choice to follow Jesus with more faithfulness and courage and bravery today. That mission moves me. But not only the mission, the vision of our church moves me. That it's not just about us in here. It's about the 10. This vision of becoming helpful and influential for all of the 10, that's like fuel for me. I mean, last month, we joined the Roselle Chamber of Commerce. And this week was my first meeting to be there. And I loved it. It was great to build bridges with business owners and local nonprofit leaders. I love it. I love what I do. I love my work. And I love my relationships a lot. I love my wife, Kelly. Some of you are tired of hearing about it. Too bad, I got the mic. I love Kelly. I mean, have you met her, right? And here's what's amazing. She actually likes me too, which is crazy. I mean, she puts up with me. She actually really likes being with me. I love being at home. I really do. And I love being with my girls. They're phenomenal. I mean, they have totally stolen my heart. I never knew I could feel like the way I feel with these two little ones. They just hijacked my heart. I love them. I love my buddies. I even love my neighbors, right? I love work, and I love my relationships. I feel this tension, limited time, unlimited demands, and here's what makes it even worse, to go a step further. I have yet to feel as if I've finished all my work. There's not been a day yet where I've pulled out of the church office parking lot being like, all right, we're good, no more work to do. You know why? Because your life is hard. A lot of you are going through a lot of things. Your life is messy. It's difficult. Crisis abounds, right? And so there's always work that I feel like I'm being left undone. In fact, I've been in ministry for a long time now. I have yet to have someone call into the office and say, hey, Pastor, just wanted to let you know my marriage is awesome. I can't stop reading the Bible. Everything's great. Just wanted to let you know. Have a good day, right? I've never gotten that call. And I don't think I ever will. Some of you are going to prank me this week, don't do it. But I've never gotten that call. Why is that? It's because we're in ministry. And ministry is about helping hurting people. It's about adding value to people that are struggling. It's about helping the directionless find direction in Christ. So every time I leave work, some of you this might resonate with, I've yet to feel like I've finished it all. It feels undone. And I go home. And I've yet to feel like I've finished all my work at home. Kelly has never said, hey, John, enough with these long walks. I feel like we're good. And all this connecting, I think we're good. I've yet to have Hallie say, Dad, like, please stop. No more wrestling. No more intentional donut dates. Can you make it stop? I've never had Hannah say, Dad, please, we have colored enough. Stop reading me stories. I can't take one more story. Stop. I need to go to bed, right? That's never happened. And so every morning, perhaps like you, when I pull out of the driveway, I feel like I'm leaving work at home with my relationships undone. I feel this tension in so many different ways. We have limited time, yet unlimited demands, which brings us all to this realization, and Todd spoke about it in his video. We can't give our best to both. Oh, it's true. We can't. We can't give our best to both. We can't totally win at both. And this realization leads us ultimately to this terrifying yet essential question. Here it is. What will you choose to cheat? What will you choose? Emphasis choose. You'll never drift into this. I've tried. What will you choose to cheat? Will it be your relationships or your work? Which one's going to get the priority? Your kids or your career? What will you choose to cheat? Your marriage or your ministry? And some of you have like a noble mission like mine. You're like, no, I think God deserves. No. What will you choose to cheat? Your home or your hobbies? What will you choose to cheat? In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally, and here's why. Relationships, in order for them to move forward, require margin. Do you know this? For a relationship to grow and flourish, it demands breathing room. It demands margin. This is the only way relationships can move forward. Why? Relationships, they're spelled T-I-M-E. Relationships are about time. Pastor Wayne Cordero put it this way: friendships are not made in the blur of life. They're made in the margins. They're made in the margins. And you wonder why your relationships are not moving forward. And you wonder why you're winning at work and losing at home. It's because there's no margin. It's because there's no breathing room. It's because you can't run 1,000,000 miles an hour this way and come home and have anything left. You just can't. You actually have limits. You're a human being. You can't win at both. And for many, you're giving the least to those you supposedly love the most. Right? So here's what I want to do. For just a couple minutes, I want to get in your face a little bit. And I don't do this every week, but I'm your pastor, and what that really means is I'm your coach. And so I want to get up in your grill just a little bit, only for a couple minutes, all right? And then we'll be friends again, but just for a couple minutes, because this is really important. All right, I'm not mad at you. I love you. I really do. And it kills me to see how many relationships in this church are unraveling. Unraveling. So I want to get up in your business here for just a second. And here's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with those who work outside the home. Those who work outside the home. You've got no space for your wife or husband because you've already given it all away to your employees or customers. You got no space left. No margin left. You've given it all away to your employees or customers or students. And so let me ask you, and I wasn't there, so I don't know, but let me ask you. When you were at the altar before God, with him or her, were your customers there with you? I wasn't there, I don't know. Were your students there with you? Were your employees there with you? I mean, how awkward would that have been? Hey, Bob. Like, how, right? No, they weren't there. Yeah, why did they get the priority? You said yes to her before you said yes to this career. And I said yes to Kelly before I said yes to you. So guess who I'm going to cheat? You. You. I'm going to choose her. And I'm telling you, I haven't done this perfectly. I'm a work in progress, but I've regretted every time I've chosen ministry over her or over my relationships. I've never regretted when I've chosen relationships over work. I've never regretted staying up late and talking. I've never regretted getting up early and connecting. I've never regretted that. So here's what this doesn't mean, okay? And it's why it's so quiet in here, because this is where we live. It doesn't mean that you call in sick tomorrow, okay? I will not give any pastor's notes today. It doesn't mean that you become a slacker now at work. Like, no, the pastor said, like, I got to, like, all right? So I'm like a terrible employee. That's not what this means, right? If you're a follower of Christ, especially, you work for the Lord, all right? So it doesn't mean we do crappy work at all, right? It does mean that two things can't win. So what are you going to choose to cheat? That's for those who work outside of the home. In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally. Here's the second group of people that I want to thoroughly offend in the next couple minutes. Those of you that don't work outside the home, right? No, you work inside the home. Your work is your kids. It's for a lot of people in this church. And you've got no space for your spouse because you've already given it all away to your kids. Right? This is why you don't go on dates anymore with them. Because your kids need you. You're like, Pastor, my kids need me. All right, so let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought it up. You're partly right. They do need you. But did you know, if you do the research, you know what they need the most? What they need the most is to see in front of them an incredible, thriving, flourishing marriage between a husband and wife. That's what they need the most. Do the research. There's only one person clapping because the rest of us got a long way to go, right? That's what they need. This helicoptering parent thing is not helping. And let me just let you in, ladies, on a little secret. He's wondering if you want him anymore. He's wondering. And so here's what this could look like. I brought a baby monitor in here. Sure did, because we just took in a 2.5-year-old, so we're back. We're took in little girls. We're now rocking this thing again. This is a baby monitor. So this is what it could look like. I want you to carefully put this down like that. and walk away from the baby monitor, and I want you to go on a date with him. Let me do it again, because I went fast. I want you to put down the baby monitor, and I want you to slowly walk away, and I want you to go on a date with him. He's wondering if you want him. He's wondering. You're like, but John, that we don't do baby monitors anymore. All right, well then what does this represent? You're following their Twitter feed or their Instagram feed. Yeah, I get it, all right? What would it look like for you to begin to prioritize your marriage? In order to win relationally, you have to cheat intentionally. What will you choose to cheat? And by the way, this doesn't mean becoming a terrible parent. You're like, no, I'm not gonna even talk, I'm not even reading stories anymore, right? Come on, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. If I haven't offended you yet, this last one, I'm gonna make sure I bring everyone together, right? Here's the last one. This one really offended me, so I gotta offend you with it. You've got no space for your kids because you've already given it all away to your hobbies. You've already given it all away to your hobbies. And I've been really working on how to say what I'm about to say. So I've been trying to think about this. So I want to talk to you about this 12-inch softball thing. And no, your wife didn't email me about it, all right? But bro, your chance at making it passed like 15 years ago. Uncle Rico, you gotta let it go, man. I could have gone state. You gotta let it go. But we're going to Worlds next month in Orlando. Have you seen my bat bag? Right? Let it go, man. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't play softball, but you're on like 15 travel teams. All right, you got nothing for your kids because you give it all to 12-inch softball. Okay. All right, 10 years, you're gonna be calling me, asking me to help. Right now is when you need to do the work. So maybe it's not softball, perhaps it's golf. You're like, no. Yep, let me talk about that for a second. Listen, your golf buddies, they will be there when your kids are grown and gone. And besides, your golf game, it will suck then, okay? Like mine, right? I'm gonna be hooking it then like I do now. I've yet to have a little kid come up to me and say, hey, pastor, I need you to pray for my dad's golf game. Because if he could become a scratch golfer, then I will feel loved and cherished. Pastor, would you pray for my dad's golf game? That's never happened, right? So we have nothing for our kids because we give it all away to our hobbies. Have I offended everyone? All right, if not, I got a little bit more to go here. Here's another thing. Relationships and efficiency do not go together. Has anyone noticed this? And some of us, we kind of like to be efficient. I'm one of those persons. But have you noticed how relationships and efficiency, they do not go together, ever, right? Have you noticed this, right? And if relationships, for them to grow and flourish, require margin and time, I just need to let you know, like the single most inefficient thing you can give your time to are relationships. They're just not efficient. For example, right? Efficiency and intimacy. Hurry up, babe. We got 4 minutes. Light those candles. Turn on the music. Let's make this happen. Let's go, right? How's that working out for you? You're like, yeah, how's that working out for you? Not very well. How about efficiency and vulnerability? You're like, all right, babe, I got 3.5 minutes. I want you to be vulnerable. Hold on, let me start it. All right, now open up your heart and what are you afraid of, babe? You got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Be vulnerable, but be efficient. This last one is so pervasive. Having efficiency and memory making with your kids. Kids they are terrible with efficiency, especially making memories with them. Have you noticed this, right? Kids, we got 2 minutes to see the Grand Canyon. Kids, we got 4 minutes to build this sandcastle and 20 seconds to fly this kite. Let's go. Kids, we got 34 seconds to catch a fish before we got to get you to soccer practice and then to dance class and then to French lessons and then to knitting class and then to karate because you got to be a black belt in 4 weeks. Let's go. We got to make some memories, kids. How's that working out for you? Right? It's not. It's not. So our desire to be efficient and to grow relationships, it's just a pipe dream. In fact, your passion for efficiency, and I'm speaking to me, is punishing your relationships. Shauna Niequist put it this way. She says that she's choosing present over perfect, quality over quantity, relationship over rushing, people over pressure, meaning over mania. Pretty good. The part of Todd's story that didn't make it to the video is actually the part of his story that impacted me the most. And he shared this with me over some cups of coffee. At the time, he was running 3 companies, and he finally realized, I can't win at both. And he realized what hopefully some of you are realizing right now in this moment. And he made it one of the hardest decisions of his life, certainly of his career, where he sold one of his businesses. Cost him a good amount of money. But he knew, in order for my relationships, those that I say I love the most, in order for my relationships to increase, work has to decrease. I got to trust God with this. And this is what I'm hoping. And this is what I'm praying. For most of us, it's not to sell a business, but for most of you, it is to make changes. For most of you, it is to recognize that your pursuit to be somebody is killing all of those that you say you love the most. It's these gifts God has given you, these wonderful little bundles of joy. It's amazing how things get turned around. It's amazing, right? How many amazing marriages begin on an altar and end in a delivery room? Seen it happen too many times. And the Spirit of God is trying to wake you up. The Spirit of God is trying to open your eyes because He's got more for your relationships, and the only way you're going to win relationally is to cheat intentionally. So what are you going to choose to cheat? We're going to take communion now. In just a couple minutes, I'm going to ask if you're a follower of Jesus, that you would get up and you'd approach one of the tables. If you're not a follower of Jesus, you could become one. You could just declare, yeah, I believe in Him, right? And so we're going to come to the table today. And here's why I want us to come to the table, because if there's one thing that will prevent us from really moving forward with what we're talking about today in Breathing Room, it's one word, and that word is fear. It's fear. And have you noticed how fear sprouts into control? How fear sprouts into comparison or into greed? How fear sprouts into self-reliance or into being closed off? How fear sprouts into an addiction or into hiding? How fear sprouts into a fast-paced, freaked-out, frenetic kind of life? Fear. This is the root. You keep digging, you're going to find a whole lot of fear. This is what you're going to find. Fear of not getting that promotion. Fear of not being as productive or as successful as we think we should be. Fear of not getting that job. Fear of not being liked. How about this next one? Fear of not being perceived as high capacity. Fear of saying no, because what if they don't ask again? Fear of setting limits with our kids, because what if my limits harm them or hold them back? Fear of giving vulnerability another shot. Fear of not measuring up or not being enough, or fear of being too much. It's fear. The Bible gives us a command. In fact, it's the command in all of Scripture, 366 of them throughout the Scriptures, and the command is fear not. Fear not. One for every day of the year and one for leap year. 366 times. Fear not. This is the command. Be commanded to fear not. And along with this command comes a promise, and I love this promise, and here's the promise. Perfect love drives out fear. This is why we're going to come to the table today. We're going to take the bread and dip it in the juice, and it represents perfect love, the love of Jesus Christ that longs to drive out the fear that is ruling and reigning in your life. Today, Jesus invites you to the table to take into your body 2 elements that represents an intentional choice that He made. Jesus, the Son of God, knew that in order to win relationally, He'd have to cheat intentionally. And He chose to cheat. He prioritized your life over His own. And so He invites you to the table. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that as you take in these elements today, you will feel the invitation of a holy reset, of owning and admitting how you veered off course and receiving how Jesus says, listen, I am the God of second chances, third chances, fat chances, slim chances, and all kinds of chances. And I gave my life so that you could take in these elements today, so that you could experience winning relationally with me and with others. Let me pray for you, and then we'll approach the communion table today. God, thank you for your grace and for your patience with me. You are so patient with me. And God, thank you for your vision and desire to see us unified and flourishing and connected, both vertically with you and horizontally with others. You want us to live out of the center point of the cross. I ask that communion would have a mysterious power today. As we take in these elements, we would remember and we would know who you are and whose we are. God, we thank you for truth and we thank you for another chance. And God, I ask that decisions would be made today, that things would be different because we came today and we opened our minds and we opened our hearts and we received from you. So God, we ask that you'd bless this time of communion. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.